What a beautiful day for a hike. I'm here on the extinct volcano of Ilaló, somewhere around 2,700 to 3,000 meters, around 9,000 feet. Not too far from my house, actually. Hanging today with my brother-in-law, his friend Mario, and my nephew Antonio. Antonio, say good morning.
Hello.
And 3 dogs. We're going to be talking today about being a disruptor. Are you a disruptor? Do disruptors drive you insane? But the importance of them in an organizational structure, what they provide, what they don't, and how collaborative teams work together. So we have 3, almost took a digger right there. We have 3 topics for today. One is why organizations need and often get frustrated with disruptors on their team. What's the sweet spot and the balance of order, chaos, stagnation, and progress and innovation? And then last, what are some disruptor strategies in action if you have one on the team, if you are one yourself, and how you can really benefit, especially if you're looking to move yourself forward, your organization forward, etc. Qué cool esto. Qué sweet. Okay, I have an explanation. El Mario dice que tiene un chingo de agua. ¿Quieres explicar eso, Mario, que es un chingo de agua?
Un montón de agua.
Not sure if that's exactly Ecuadorian, but that's funny. We can call this section the American Ninja section when there's water. A running start to get up here. All right, I'll take a second while we're stuck in a canyon to channel the inner Bilbo Baggins from Lord of the Rings. He, throughout the series, he was writing a book called There and Back Again, about stepping off the comfortable, predictable path where growth never really happens when you're sitting safely in one place. In the movie reference, it was the Shire. And me, it's this damn canyon, and I hope I get out. And I think, movies are great at identifying the disruptor, right? So in the playlist, the Master Mixtape playlist, I put in Howard Shore's theme from The Shire. Beautiful piece of music. Have a listen. You think about other movies, pop culture framing, a couple things come to mind. Moneyball, for those of you who've seen it. Billy Beane, breaking a century of, baseball scouting traditions because of the old way of doing that playbook when he was working for the Oakland Athletics and not a baseball player. An excellent example of being a disruptor, Billy Beane. An obvious one, Top Gun, right? Maverick, pushing the envelope to pull off the impossible mission, everybody's everyday hero. A little bit of a reality check, though. You don't exactly want to have a whole bunch of Top Guns. For example, nobody wants Maverick flying a Boeing 777 for United Airlines. But having one on your team, is that helpful? Is it not helpful? It is. So let me get out of Mordor here and to some higher ground, and let's keep talking about this. Okay, up. All right, we made it. So let's see where we are. And I've definitely had my share of being the disruptor, and the moments where people like, Jeff, can't you just go along with the plan? And I should. There's sometimes we should. And then there's other times where I really think we should consider other options. I think we should take a risk. And I think that's the organizational paradox. The organizational paradox for businesses and schools is that so many places claim, especially today, everybody's creative and everybody's innovative. But are they really? Are their daily structures set up, engineered for creative innovation? And do they have a disruptor on their team? Or is it really just a structure of predictability, compliance, managing risk, and then you try and sell people on it? And let's be honest, there's a case for both, right? There's a case for compliance. What does compliance do? When is that good? Compliance creates operational efficiency, safety, standards, right? And that's essential, whether you're flying a commercial airline or you're needing to create policy manuals, accounting, etc. So there's a case for it. Then there's the danger of total compliance, when everybody's a yes person, when nobody really speaks up, or they're afraid to speak up. And then you have a danger of total compliance, which is when institutional calcification, that's a good word, institutional calcification, creativity dies. The morale on the team, whether it's leadership or everybody around you, starts to become passive. And the organization kind of loses its spark. And it happens a lot. And people don't want to disrupt. They just want to keep the flow. Could be because they're trying to keep their job, or they want to please the boss or something. But then you have that danger of overcompliance, and you think you're going to do something innovative and you really don't. The other side of that is the danger of total disruption, right? An organization full of a bunch of Jeffs on a team, you'd suffer from pure chaos all the time. And then you would have an issue with which path are you choosing? It's hard to do certain long-term goals if you have too many disruptors. If you have large turnover in your institution is another one that's extremely disruptive. A little bit different than the leadership concept of being a disruptor. Either way, that becomes an issue. And I think in my own career, I have a lot of examples of this. Being the only American teaching abroad in South America in a very high-level cohort in my master's program, where my particular reality and what I was advocating for, playing, local music as part of your culture, not just the standard repertoire. It's not just the standard curriculum. It's not just the standard even competitions or festivals that are all the same way. Nope, we were in a different situation, and I was always speaking up in that cohort. And the specific example that I have is, you had to, during my master's program, we had to submit evidence of our teaching and learning and submit videos for analysis. And I was in Latin America, and I had my way and my style of people being able to voice their opinions and students be able to challenge an idea if they had a good rationale behind it. So the video was a little bit expressive, loud, and I quote, lost points on that work in my master's because they weren't sitting quietly. They weren't as attentive as maybe a rehearsal should be. And my question that I asked the faculty member straight out, point blank, could you please define attention versus compliance? So refusing to settle for just the best version of a regular program is not where we're going. We're driving to create something that literally no one has ever had or seen before. How about an even more famous example, which is Dave Brubeck's album Time Out, 1959, arguably one of the most famous years in jazz history. And while there's amazing albums put out that year, he was extremely disruptive in this album. He experimented with different time signatures, which means that the pulse of the song, instead of a standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, he changed into all different types of asymmetrical meters, different types of styles, mixing classical music, folk music, and elements of jazz. The first track is Blue Rondo a la Turk on there. It's in the time signature of 9/8. And then the most famous track on the album is Take 5, of course, which is in 5. And it's an excellent example. I put that in my master mixtape for you. So have a listen to the disruptive song 1959. Give your ears a listen to expand out, listen to something new if you haven't heard it already. If you have, reconnect. I'm going to do a live version, which I think is a little cooler, the solo ideas. So amazing. All right, we are almost at the top. I'm about to head down right on the sweet spot, which is the next topic. The sweet spot is how you balance this order and chaos. This is the space where true growth happens. It's right on this boundary line. And it's where you have both happening simultaneously. And you, as a group, make this decision. Which way do we need to go and when? And everybody is conscious that we have all these different, not just opinions, but we have compliance and we have a disruptor. And we get used to a teamwork activity where we know which way to go and when. So being able to partner with the risk adverse, well, stability is essential, right? And disruption doesn't mean that you're trying to tear down existing structures and say everybody's wrong. That's not disruption in that sense either. What you're trying to do is expand the long-term relevance, the mission, the vision, and you're acting as a value add. The disruptor's job is the value add on this team, right? Not necessarily to tear apart. You might have certain structures that need to be broken down here, but it's important to think about that part. Albert Einstein, you can't create change by repeating the same patterns, right? And again, to be clear, there's a difference between disruption and insubordination. Some people get those confused. Insubordination, it's about you. It's very much focused on ego and yourself. It's very reactive. It's a refusal. I don't want to do this. I don't want to follow this. If you're a disruptor and you're being constructive about it, it should be very team-centered. It should be solution-oriented. You're thinking about all of the other members in your organization bringing things forward. And over the time, this is going to bring a higher yield. There's a better way is a term for disruptor. I think there's other options to explore. I think we really should take this risk.
Hey, Jeff!
Hey, hey!
How are you?
¿Cómo vamos? So it's near the end. Everybody's made it. Let's get to the end. Let's get to this last part, which is the disruptor strategy in action. If you are a disruptor, how do you put these strategies in action? If you're more of a tendency towards compliance, how do you work together? How do you get these strategies going? And I'll tell you, for me, one of the lessons that I had to learn was simply how to tie it in. Without it sounding like chaos, without it sounding so far away and radical, you need to tie it into something. Is that tied into some data, some analysis that you can bring to the table? That's a big one. Can it be tied to a mission, a vision, an objective? Any type of those types of things will help out a lot, right? And when you're building that dynamic, feel free to ask why. Asking why is great, but not in a despondent tone. You want to be able to do it without malice and just question. The leadership team should be free to question at any point in time. When, a disruptor is great, for example, when progress hits a wall, where you just keep spinning, doing the same thing. You think you're doing something new, but you're just repeating those wheels. Bring in the disruptor. On the other side, when you have a crisis, an emergency crisis, when you need to get some legal paperwork done, you have some strict timelines to do, maybe not the time for that disruptor there. It makes me think of a song, which is The Who's Won't Get Fooled Again. This is a great one. Apart from just the title of the song, think about the band itself. Amazing, progressive rock, transformative. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna make these songs longer, jam-like. We're gonna change the instrumentation and the whole soundscape of the way these songs and the messaging goes. So that'll be my last song. Enjoy Won't Get Fooled Again. Amazing. Yeah, so now we've made it to the end. How can you tell we're at the end? Because there's a lot of dogs barking around here, which means we've hit the residential area here and we're on our way back. Final thoughts, here we go. Number one, take the courage to act as a team or as an individual. Remember that real innovation, it's not a passive label that you put on a resume or just in social media. It requires actual risk and the willingness to disrupt comfortable routines. Number two, when to take action and when to take inaction. being able to manage. When is the time to be right on that precipice, to step on the edge and be able to back off and say, nope, this is not the time. This is the time for us to be safe right now. Or the other way, nope, it's time to take a jump. Right? Many claim to be innovators, but really without that courage and that risk-taking, it's impossible to move any of these objectives forward. And there you have it. My last favorite slogan for creative arts innovation is inspire change. How are you inspiring change? Go do it. Get out there. Thanks for listening. See you on the next hike.